It was a quiet morning. The birds were chirping, the crickets were singing. Off in a distant field, marching was heard.
January 10th, 1864. I was tending to the chickens when I heard marching in the field. Then, emerging from the cornstalks, was a rebel army. I dropped the feeding pail and ran inside to warn my family. Jimmy Chestnut.
January 8th, 1864. Robert E. Lee, while in Virginia, dispatched Company Z to take a large farm which would provide much needed food. He placed Captain E. W. Benson in charge with instructions to take the farm at all costs and to take no prisoners. He was to shoot first and ask questions later. General William Tecumseh Sherman was in camp when an insurgent scout covertly telegraphed that Robert Lee had sent soldiers to take the farm which was currently providing his army with much needed food. He knew that action was necessary and dispatched Company H to take the crucial farm back. He can only hope that they would prevail. The two opposing captains were Albert W. Benson and Derek J. Cormick. Benson, a ruthless, cold-hearted veteran, with no concern for anybody who was not a soldier of his, hoped to assist in crippling the Union and winning Southern independence. Cormick, a saddened, relentless, fierce warrior, aimed to stop him. The Confederates had occupied the farm, which was located on a plateau on Mount Everpeak. They had a high ground advantage. The Union set up camp in a clearing in the Forest of Lost Hope. Their position was easily defendable, but difficult to maneuver in. Company Z had at their disposal a farm, a warehouse, and a connected factory. Company H had an abandoned Revolutionary War armory and weapons cache, a grain silo, another factory, and a hospital. The Battle of 6 Months, as its name suggests, was the longest battle of the Civil War. Yet, surprisingly, it would also prove to be one of the least bloodiest.
February 3rd, 1864. Today we faced the enemy in a brief skirmish. They were surprisingly resilient, and we began to doubt our ability to crush them, as we expected to do. Oh, how I longed to return home. Charles Doubtfire.
The first skirmish, dubbed the Plains, was a small encounter between scout groups. Minimal casualties occurred this battle, but it taught both sides an important lesson. The enemy would not go down easily. Skirmishes such as this continued on and off until Company H made a horrific discovery. A Confederate POW camp had been in West Virginia, mocking the Union for the majority of the war. Company H stormed the camp, killed the guards, and freed the prisoners. Later, they also discovered battle plans of Benson's, which had been accidentally left behind when he had camped near the edge of the Forest of Lost Hope.
May 1st, 1864. Today we rushed to fight the rebels. I was ever so frightened. We faced each other, not 5 feet from the Confederates, and began to fight near a lone tree on the vast plains. Charles Doubtfire.
The Battle of Lone Tree, the first major battle, occurred on the Berg-Morelli Plains. The two armies faced off and dueled to a draw. After Lone Tree, Company H retreated into the forest. Using flares, they instructed the insurgent scouts to misinform Benson, causing him to charge into an ambush. This battle was known as the Frying Pan. Company H sharpshooters crippled Company Z and forced a retreat across the plains and into the White Mouth Cave.
May 10th, 1864. We forced the rebels back into the cave. We're chasing them. It's so frightening. I sincerely hope I don't get shot. Charles Doubtfire.
Charles Doubtfire was shot in action and died later that day. The fire was a battle which resulted from the frying pan. As Company H pursued Company Z fortified a cave with artillery and sharpshooters. They bombarded incoming Company H and pushed them back. Company Z, wishing to demolish Company H at last, charged into the forest blindly with everything they had at their disposal. The remains of Company H were holed up in the hospital named Charing Cross. Rifles and cannons alike pointed out of windows and rained lead upon the Confederates. The Confederates responded with equally violent and vigorous fire. By the end of this battle, less than 15 men were alive, and both companies had been reduced to handfuls of beaten down, broken soldiers. Benson and his men limped back to the farm, and, after Cormac's last soldier deserted, he filled with rage and blindly pursued them. Cormac caught up with Benson several days later. He and the 2 remaining insurgent scouts killed Benson's 5 remaining soldiers at the cost of one of the insurgent scouts' lives. Cormac pointed a revolver at Benson and told him that the Battle of 6 Months was over. It was then that Benson famously uttered, "Nothing has ended if I'm breathing," and shot the remaining insurgent scout. It began to rain heavily, and the 2 engaged each other on top of Levi's Plateau. After several hours, Cormac was victorious. At that moment, the Battle of 6 Months had truly ended.
This is the ultimate showdown.